How's it, guys? Hope you're all well tonight. A little fairly fresh evening here in Pretoria. Not too bad compared to last week, but surviving at the moment. We're just waiting for Charlie to join us. Mark Charlton, for those of you who don't know, it's going to be a good night. And I see Oak's already moaning about the football. The football's important. We got to entertain ourselves a little bit with Charlie first, and then hopefully get a bit of good football in after that. So we're just waiting for him to connect. Charlie.
Hello, Chris.
How are
You
you?
hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic.
Good. Thanks for joining us, Charlie.
No problem.
It's good to have you on the show at long last. I think enough guys have mentioned you on the show. And you come with very high recommendation by all your players. So thanks for joining us tonight, Charlie.
Chris, thank you so much. It probably helps that we are like almost best friends. You know, you're saying such nice things about me.
Yes. Yeah, you're lucky I'm saying some really good things about
That
you.
might be
Normally
that
I
might
have
be
to
the first
abuse you a
time.
bit, but yes, exactly. 100% correct. So cheers to you, and thanks for joining us again. I know guys are moaning because they're going to actually try and watch a bit of football. But sorry, I'm just fixing my camera here for a second. And there's good football on tonight, Charlie. Real teams are playing. United's playing. And a new look United, so it's really lekker.
Chris, you know I know nothing about football, so let's leave it at that.
And we've seen that in the warm-ups as well.
I'm sure the Titans boys would agree there.
Yeah, I think so too. Charlie, how are you keeping?
Chris, we're going okay. A bit cold. You know, I think I'm getting a little bit old, so I'm starting to feel the cold a bit. But yeah, we okay. Eh?
Fantastic. Good to hear. I see you got a good haircut. I think either you've been busy or the wife's been busy, but
You know, Chris,
looking good
being in
your old age.
being in a digs with 6 other guys when you're a student does come in handy. So I've been cutting hair since the age of 18. So I actually cut my own hair. So I think, so coaching is not my only skill that I have. So I got that done a little bit earlier. You know, I thought I had to go on camera. So, you know, got the fresh cut done.
Okay. Fair enough. As you can see, I hide my mop under the cap, which I do all the time. But yeah, I'm not going to moan too much.
You got the COVID cut.
Charlie, how have you been keeping yourself busy with the lockdown? I mean, I know you're busy a little bit with the academy. You want to give us a bit of feedback on the academy and how that works currently, and then the benefits of the academy?
Yeah, well, good pump there, Chris. Nice. So yeah, obviously the Titans Academy, the SSE Titans Academy, is obviously a little project that you and me have got going, which is fantastic. We've run it for the last 10 years now, and it's been brilliant. You know, like in terms of the professional cricketers that it has sort of spat out and produced over the years, and you know, it's been a great journey with it. And you know, like, you know, a good friend of ours, Russ van der Dussen, you know, Simon Harmer, Aldred Hawken, Michael Pretorius, you know, like all those sort of guys came through that academy structure. And I think what it really has done is it doesn't normally cater for that guy that maybe played SA schools or SA under 19. You know, it doesn't normally cater for that guy. That guy usually, other than one or two that have decided to come to us anyway, those guys are sort of, you know, they're taken care of already. You know, you know, their careers are sort of made. Everyone knows who they are. And I think what the academy does so well is it gives that good school cricketer that maybe didn't get the opportunities that he should have at school cricket. And I think that's why it's so brilliant. It gives that guy an opportunity to shine and to pick up skills and then put them in the shop window. So I think that's why the academy is so brilliant. And you know, like if you look at a guy like Simon Harmer and Russ van der Dussen, they were both a year young in matric. You look at Michael Pretorius, he couldn't play Coke Week because he got injured through his matric year, and you know, the guys came to us, and you know, we try our best to get the guys to the next level. So I think that's the great thing with academy. Basically, what we've been doing is we've obviously, with lockdown, etc., we've had an online program for the last 3 weeks, which it's worked pretty well. It's amazing what you can do when you're forced to sort of innovate. So We've been having Zoom calls and lectures, psychology, S&C, etc., etc. We've been having some great guests over the last couple of days, and the last couple of weeks. Professional cricketers that came through our program, etc., etc. And they've given some valuable insights. So that's what we've been up to in regards to the SSE. Other than that, obviously, I'm back with Northerns again this season. So that's been my main work, is to get those guys up and running. So we've been doing online S&C. Ajax, our trainer, has been hard at work with that. That's been brilliant. So guys are running the new 2K time trial already, so they're up and running with that. So that's been basically a monitoring system from his side. We've also been doing a couple of projects where players put online, things that have changed their careers, maybe an inspirational video, maybe a masterclass, and then that has been sort of upskilling the players' minds. So basically my idea was, we can't upskill them in terms of their cricket skills, but we can in terms of their S&C and making sure they're strong and fit, and at the same time upskilling them in terms of their cricket knowledge, and working the mind instead of working just the cricket skills. And I think we almost looked at it as an opportunity to say, okay, great, yes, it's tough because we can't hit balls in nets, but we've got a great opportunity. That's something that we never have time to do. Let's get it done now. Let's upskill our minds, and that's what the Northerns team have been trying to do. I've got some nice projects coming up. We're going to do like a little bit of a twinning project where guys get to know each other a little bit better, because we have a bit of a our team there's some very experienced guys and some much younger guys, so we're looking at that, and then we're going to start online crickets from next week. So doing a little bit of video analysis, guys standing and bowling, etc., etc. So when the season starts, hopefully we're going to be up and running and good to go.
Yeah, fantastic. I think it's really exciting, and I must correct you there. I know you said we've been going for around 10 years, but we've been going actually for around 14 years. So
yeah,
it's actually
I tried to,
it's been a long ride.
I see that a couple of the English boys are on here that first came to the academy in the first couple of years. I actually try and block out those years, the first 4 years, where, Chris, I think you were partying harder than the players, and the Poms were breaking down Pretoria. So I actually blocked it out. So yeah, those first 4 years didn't exist to me.
Okay, well, sorry you missed out on that party, but I'm sure you'll catch up later on.
I was old and grey already.
So let's get on. We've done a bit of marketing now, which I think is always a good thing, especially in the current time. We need to promote ourselves as much as possible. But your cricket journey as a coach has been slightly different. You weren't a pro player that's sort of come through the ranks as a player and then moved on to coaching, or fallen back onto coaching. You sort of found that passion a little bit earlier than most professional coaches, and it's led you to become one of the best in the country. How did that start for you, and what sort of swung you to go that route instead of trying to make it as a pro outright, and then obviously take on the coaching side?
Yeah, well, as you said, Chris, I wasn't a great player. I always sort of looked at myself as a hard-working player that would grind to get a result. And I was a good club cricketer. Good academy cricketer. At the EP Academy, carried drinks a couple of times for the EP team, but that's about as far as I got. Played overseas a bit. But I think that the biggest thing for me was that, through all those hardships, and, I made a lot of mistakes in terms of my cricket career. If there was a technical problem, I probably had it. If there was a question to be asked, I'd probably asked it. Because I wasn't a great player. So to be completely honest, I think that was the biggest thing in terms of my coaching, was that I struggled as a player. I worked out a way of being successful that helped me. And I think that sort of that journey in terms of that self-discovery led me to actually understand the game so much better. So I wasn't a guy who could just say, just hit a cover drive. I had to learn how to hit a cover drive, So, I had to look at all the different points, and I probably got it wrong more times than I got it right, but I had to sort of work through that process and learn. So I think that my being a hardworking average player actually helped me in terms of my coaching. And like a lot of guys have gone through a different journey, and something definitely can be said for that pro player that goes straight into coaching afterwards, and the experience that they've got, and guys that have played international cricket, absolutely amazing. Like that experience in terms of playing in different conditions in India, the pressure, something can be said for that. But I think something can also be said for that coach that has come through the ranks, who's been a player who struggled, who really worked things out for themselves and learned so much about the game, and then went through the levels. As I've been through every single level of coaching. I started off even coaching when I was at school. I'd helped under 13 boys in terms of coaching, and then I went on to coaching at boys high, school coaching, seconds under 13, seconds under 16, firsts, then on to Pretoria High School all boys club as the head coach there. Then I started into academy cricket with obviously you, and with Northern's Cricket Union as well, helping out and taking invitation teams for Northerns, into Northerns after that. Had a little stint at the National Academy, worked a little bit, worked a bit with the Titans at that time, and then into high performance manager where I worked with the Titans a lot more. Was lucky enough to go to Abu Dhabi with them in that T20 tournament, and now back to Northerns as well. So every single step that I've taken has sort of taught me something, Chris. And I think that is, and the lessons that I've learned are like so many over the years. It's incredible. So I've worked with every sort of player, every sort of type of player, players that struggle, players that are gifted, young players, older players. And I think that, to be honest, is the greatest gift that cricket could have given me, was that experience over the years of working with different players. Like a lot of coaches talk about their toolbox, and what have you got in your toolbox? Over these years, I think I've got a fair amount in my toolbox. So a lot can be said for that player that goes straight into coaching, but a lot can be said, and I think a lot of the coaches that do go through the ranks are maybe a little bit undervalued in terms of what they can bring. Coaching is an art that you learn over years and years. And, like I'm still learning every single day, and I think it's an incredible sort of journey in terms of still learning and still trying to be better. And, but it's an absolute passion for me, Chris. Like if you had to ask me, what am I meant to do? I'm meant to coach. Like I can't really put my finger on it and why, but like when I'm coaching, I feel that I know that I'm meant to be coaching. It's almost a calling. I wouldn't be happy doing anything else. If you ask me if I want to do anything else, no, I don't. So literally it's a calling for me.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I think that's a great answer, Charlie, because you touched on everything there, from when you started right through. And I must agree, it's definitely something you've got a passion for, and the guys respond extremely well to you. I mean, we'll talk later on about some guys you've had a hand in their careers on, and just mentioning those names later on, people are going to realize what sort of person you are. But mentioning that, guys that influence people, and you being one of them, who influenced you from a coach's point of view in terms of a mentor, who is your mentor currently, and why is that person so influential to you as a coach?
I actually got asked the same thing the other day. I'm doing the Gary Kirsten Coach Ed online. I'm sure a couple of the guys are on here, but we had a one-on-one with Gary and etc. And he asked me exactly the same question. So, and I'll give you exactly the same answer that I gave him. Probably not what he expected, but I'm a product of my environment that I've been over years and years, like starting off at Kingswood College. Mr. Shaw and Mr. Brown, I think that they really sort of kicked me off in terms of my cricket. Amazing schoolboy masters, and then moving on. Coach Grant at the academy in Grant van Heerden in PE. I came out of private school maybe a little bit soft, with peroxided hair, and he kicked the shit out of me. I don't know if I'm allowed to say shit, but I just did. But he did. He kicked the shit out of me for a year. So Grant van Heerden, I'd say, is definitely one that was really the toughest coach I've ever worked with. And then moving on to Grant Morgan at All Boys, inspirational man, and honestly, I'd still say he is one of the best coaches I've ever seen work. Like how he can inspire people and get people to get together towards a common goal, and to move forward and to win cricket games and play for something bigger than yourself. That is an incredible art, and he taught me so much about the mental side of the game, about teammateship in terms of pulling people together and creating that common goal. And then I'd say the person that in the last sort of couple of years that has definitely been there, in terms of my learning and my teaching is Rob Walter. Rob is still a mentor for me now. I chat to him often, and I really enjoy his coaching style, and I think we are very similar in that way. And I learned so much from him when I was Northern's coach and he was Titans coach. So if you ask me how I make a decision in terms of what I want to do, or how I make a decision, if you ask me how I make a decision on the field or off the field, it almost runs through all those different coaches. So it's like, okay, so what would Mr. Shaw, Mr. Brown do? Okay, so what would Grant van Heerden do? Okay, so what would Morgs do? And then what would Rob Walter do? And then I almost find my answer from all of those guys, and who would actually, which piece of the puzzle they gave me would fit in a place that I needed at that particular time. So again, talking about my journey in coaching, like I'd almost take, okay, this is a Grant Morgan situation. Okay, let's take my Grant Morgan part of my toolbox and use that. Okay, so do I have to be a schoolmaster? Okay, Mr. Brown, Mr. Shaw, do I need some inspiration? Would it be Grant Morgan? Would I need to be tough, Grant van Heerden? Would I have to be the professionalism of Rob? Like what? And I almost like pick out puzzle pieces the whole time from all of those people. So I wouldn't say it's one person. I'd say it's all of them.
Yeah. So you're continuously referencing guys throughout your career. I mean, looking at one of my recent ones as well. I mean, Yogi, everyone knows Yogi. So you always just take something out of their toolbox continuously. So good one. Very nice, Charlie. Cricket South Africa has a limited amount of high-profile positions in the country, and it makes it really difficult for everyone to obviously get a chance at working in those positions. Does that mean, as a coach, a high-profile coach like yourself, that you need to change your views to grow and maybe look elsewhere, or do you have to just stick it out? What's sort of your views currently on that situation?
Yeah, Chris, it is tough. We've got so many good coaches in South Africa and so many good young coaches, and like high-profile positions are few and far between. You've got only a few provincial coaches, only 6 franchise coaches with assistants, and it is tough for a young coach coming through. I was very lucky to get where I am. I had the backing of Northern's Cricket Union. I would like to mention Edward Khoza there. I think Edward would also be a massive person in terms of my career, and from an administration point of view, and what he taught me was brilliant. And I always had the backing of Eddie, and like he backed me completely in terms of when I was Northern's coach and he was Northern's manager, and obviously he's gone on to bigger, better things now. So I was lucky to get in. I think it almost became a situation where I was probably in a year or two too early. And then from there, obviously doing pretty well at Northerns. I got a bit of a stint with the National Academy, which is great. Onto a high performance manager, where I actually stepped away from hands-on coaching for a couple of years, which taught me so much as well. Like from a management point of view, from looking at an entire system rather than just looking at one team, taught me so much. And all the learning I was able to do and pick up, going to different high performance programs, like around the country, seeing what high performance coaches are doing a lot of research, bringing guys to come speak to us in terms of coaching. And I brought Gary, etc., which was brilliant. And I learned so much through that as well. But yeah, it is tough. And probably the thing that I would say to the to the young coach that's coming through. And, you know, in Pretoria specifically, we have so many, you know, I can probably, and there are one or two of them on this group right now. I actually see them pop up with stupid questions, but, you know, and they know who they are, that are definitely good enough to coach at senior provincial level right now. And they're maybe not getting the opportunities that they should. My thing always to them and every young coach would be, first of all, coach like you're coaching at the next level. Okay, so don't coach at your level. Coach above yourself, if you understand what I'm saying. So that would be the first thing. So try and actually be better than the level that you are at. And the players will respond. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is do something for nothing. You know, so for me, you know, I took Northern's invitation teams and academy teams to weeks for, I don't know, 3-4 years when I was coaching old boys, you know, and basically I coached old boys for nothing as well, for 3-4 years as well. So I would say those two things. And if you do something for nothing over a long period, don't expect remuneration. Just expect the experience. Expect the feedback of the players. Expect learning. And if you expect that and you expect nothing else, I promise you will get to the next level. It might take a little bit longer, but it will happen. And if you carry on persevering and you've got a passion for coaching and you know that you are supposed to be coaching, I think that you'll definitely get to that next level.
Yeah, very well said, Charlie, and good life lessons there as well. I mean, taking something and making it your own and giving back, and then not expecting anything for it is a hard trait to have, you know.
Yeah.
And to do that on a day-to-day basis is massive. So yeah, very well said there. This is quite a tough one because I think everyone is probably opinionated in it on different levels. But the shelf life of a coach, especially a high-profile coach, what is your views on that? How long? Where? Yeah, what's your thoughts?
Well, if you're looking at one team, or you're looking at one team in particular,
let's divide it now. Let's say one team in particular, and then overall, like what sort of age would you recommend that maybe a guy, I'm not going to say can not come in and consult anymore, but can have full control of the side? Until what age would you recommend is the best, or in your opinion anyway?
I would say that right now, you know, I'm 38 years old. You know, I'm pretty young as a coach, to be honest. I'd say you're probably at your best between 45 and 50. You know, like this is a thumb suck now. Like I'm just in terms of my understanding, and the guys that are the most successful are usually successful at that age between 45 and 50. If you look at sort of Gary, Kirsten, you know, also at that sort of age and did really, really well. You know, and you know, like Rob, also around about that age when he took over the Titans. And you'll see that probably most of the guys in the high-profile positions is that sort of age. So I just see myself getting better all the time. You know, I think age is just a number if you keep your ideas fresh. You know, and you don't become my greatest fear. And like, I think I drive my wife mad, but my greatest fear is sitting still. So if I'm still and if I'm not moving forward in my life, or, you know, if I'm not making things better around myself, I go crazy. So like over this lockdown, like, I drive it crazy. I'm like, okay, we need to clean out cupboards, you know, and if I haven't cleaned out a cupboard for 2 or 3 days and I'm not using the time I have, or I'm not on a course, I'm not, you know, I drive myself crazy. So I think if you're always pushing to be better, age is just a number. But I have seen coaches that are even younger becoming very stale, you know, which you can't do. So I would say between 45 and 50, you're probably at your best, up until maybe 55. After that, obviously, physically, you're going to have to be strong and you're going to have to be fit. There are a lot of guys that have done it after that age. You know, but you're going to have to be fit, you're going to have to be strong. But the mind, if the mind is fresh, you could probably go to 65, you know. Yeah, so, but I would say the best age between 45 and 50. And the guys that, and I see so many coaches these days who are like almost, oh, geez, I'm 28 years old now and I haven't made it. I'm like, honestly, bud, you're not going to go anywhere at 28. And if you are going to go at somewhere at 28, you're not ready. You know, I started coaching coaching Northerns at 30. I wasn't ready, you know. So anyway, so that's my answer to the first thing. The second thing was, you know, how many years in one position? I stepped away from Northerns after 5 years. You know, like, and a lot of people sort of questioned why I did it. But the reason was that I'd starting to feel myself becoming stale. I couldn't see myself standing in a new group of players in the next year and telling them the same things. So I needed a perspective. I needed something different. I needed a different perspective. I needed to work with different players. I needed to freshen myself up in terms of my ideas and my thoughts, and look at things from a different way. And so 5 years for me was enough. I see that, you know, like I'm a big student of all sports. So it's not just cricket. I love American sports. So I'm watching The Last Dance at the moment, which I think is brilliant. I watch a lot of documentaries on American football, which I love, on especially college American football, which is there was a documentary called Last Chance U, on Netflix at the moment, which I think is incredible. And there are 4 different seasons and different coaches and whatever. And I really found that brilliant. But I know that a lot of their coaches stay for like 10, 15, 20 years in a job. But again, I felt stale after 5 years. But if you can keep going for longer, that's great. But I think I would have been a worse coach in my 6th year than I was in my 5th year. And I never ever want to do that, because I never ever want to start moving forward. Never stop moving forward. So yeah,
I totally agree. I think at some stage you have to be honest with yourself, you know, and help the people around you as well as yourself. So good thing to be a man about it, and say you need to grow in one way or another, and you shifting yourself to a point which we'll talk about again later is massive. And I think it helped you as a coach and grow as a coach as well as a human, you know. That was quite important. So I'm going to take you back down memory lane, just down to Kempton Park here, Benoni side, and you played against Easterns when you were with Northerns, and I think you got to the final. It was a one-day semi-final. I can't quite remember the exact time or date of the game, but you sort of were young in the job still, and you found yourself with AB de Villiers in the change room. How does that firstly influence your approach to the change room environment, and how do you coach a player like that within that environment?
Yeah, Chris, that was basically a semi-final. We had to beat Easterns to make the final of the one-day comp. I think we drew to them in the 3-day, and we also made the final that year in the 3-day. And then we had to win that game, basically to make the final of the 1-day, which we did in the end, luckily, thanks to AB's 100. So obviously having AB in your change room was incredible. Like, he's a fantastic person. Like, I can't say enough about him. You know, he was there. He sort of contacted me. First of all, we knew he was going to play, so there was a lot of sort of press hype about it. He was coming back from injury. So he wanted to play cricket. So we had a lot more press at the game than we normally would have, and there were people that turned up at Wilmore Park just to see AB bat. So it was quite a big occasion. So AB pitched up. He pitched up half an hour early, basically earlier than everybody else. Like, I gave him his kit and whatever it might be. He was the first one out onto the field. He did his warm up. He was enthusiastic, and then he went and threw to our players, in the nets. Like, honestly, like, what else can you want? He was brilliant. If anybody's ever worked with AB, he's a fantastic human being, and he's such a good oak. He really is. But obviously, having a guy like that in your change room is nerve-wracking. It really is. He has a massive aura. One of the best players that I've ever lived. He's literally changed cricket. Like cricket that we know now. He's changed from 5 years ago. Like, the way that he's bats has literally changed how people look at batting. So that is a massive thing. So to have a guy like that in your change room is tough, because you are, first of all, in terms of your experience, you are way behind him in terms of international experience. You know, the guy's an international star. He's one of the best in the world, and he's sitting in your change room. So first of all the players are worried around him. So you can just see the change room's very quiet because they don't want to say anything. But I have to say that AB was brilliant. Like, he literally just opened up conversations and chatted and, you know, gave the guys a little bit of shit here and there. And, you know, as I said, helped out 3 balls. But, you know, like, to stand up in front of a team with AB in it, you know, he's sitting in the corner there, and then you have to then, you know, basically give the team talk and give the team direction for the day. You know, it's very nerve-wracking. So you need to almost know what you want to say first of all. I try to keep it very, very simple. And obviously I'll ask for his feedback, you know, like in terms of what his thoughts were. Luckily we have a very experienced team. You know, we had, you know, Grant Thompson, et cetera, in that team at that point. You know, Rivaldo, you know, there was a really good team, Aldred Hawken, Mikhail Pretorius, you know, so the guys knew what, and I've been working with them for 2-3 years. So we basically knew where we were going. But I think if you are ever, from a coaching point of view, if you're ever in a situation where you feel nervous, or you feel that the player is obviously a massive player, I think that the first thing is keep it very simple. Second thing is be very concise about what you want. And third of all, ask their opinion, you know. And to hear that AB sort of reiterated the opinions that I had was brilliant, you know. So maybe he just did that because he didn't want to make me feel like an idiot, but I don't know. But you know, like, he made it very easy to coach him. Obviously, I've also coached LB. You know, LB was captain when we won the African Cup for the first time. First time. So, you know, guys like that have also been in the change room. Similar thing, but, you know, they're all good guys and they're great pros. So it does help.
Massively, I think so. I'm going to throw some more guys in the mix here. Lungi, Rassi, Heinrich, Aiden, just some of the names that you've coached through the years and worked with. What do guys like that, including AB, and let's throw Albie in there as well, what do guys like that have in common that make them so successful? I think that's a key trait we're looking for, and I'm trying to find it every week with different individuals. So, yeah, let's hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, okay. So I think the first thing is a want, a desire to do well. And that's a very base desire. And that is, any person that's going to be great has to have a fantastic desire to do well. They need to want to be better every single week. They need to want to do it. They need to want to be the best in the world. That's the first thing. The second thing would be, from my point of view, they never felt they weren't good enough. And if they did, they never showed it. So in the end, I think that they almost, even if they sort of in their own mind hyped themselves up, I felt that they always felt that they were good enough. You know, like, if you look at a guy like Rassi's got the most incredible inner belief, even through the hardships and whatever it might be, you know, through the years, you know. I think that's also learned over a long time. But, you know, a lot of those players, they almost come and you can see they're special. Because of that, just that inner desire and belief. And then I think the third thing, and I think the most important thing, and what specifically all those players have done so well over the time, is that they perform on the big stage. So if you look at it, so Aiden came into our change room his first knock was 80. His first knock for the Titans when he got picked was 100. You know, so that, you know, Heinrich came in and made an impact straight away. He went straight into the Titans and first game made an impact. Went straight to the Proteas and made an impact straight away. Those guys just love the big stage. You know, Lungi maybe took a little bit long in terms of 3-day cricket, but in T20 cricket in the African Cup, geez, in the first game he made an impact straight away. You could literally see that this guy has just got it. You know, and then again, a big occasion, his first Titans game, I think he picked up a 7-for or something like that. You know, like, and they just announced themselves in the world. You know, they're just good enough. So I think that big moment, taking that big moment and playing that big moment really well. If you look at a guy like Rassi now as well, you know, how he's done with his Proteas in his Proteas career so far. You know, he just loves that big moment and he's just performed straight away. So yeah, so there's a couple of things, but I think desire, obviously that big moment, and then that inner belief that you can do it is very important.
Definitely. I think when we solve that problem, will help many more guys get to that level and thrive at that level as well.
Yeah.
So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind for a second, Charlie. And I'm going to blow your horn a little bit here. So as high performance coach or manager for the last 3 years, before you took over again from Northerns this year, you literally knew every up and coming youngster within the country. You knew what they did, who they were, their specialities, their weaknesses. It's just a skill. It's something that you pride yourself on. You really go to the next level.
Yeah.
You said it earlier, you're more student of all sports, really. And that in itself is a massive asset. But is the future of SA cricket in good hands currently? First question.
Chris, definitely. Okay, so I'm going to be a bit controversial here. Am I allowed to be on your show? But I think that South Africans generally don't back our cricket enough. We saw with them Mzansi Super League that, literally it's one of the best T20 competitions in the world in terms of our players. We've got incredible cricketers in this country. Yeah. And I think our problem is that people don't back our own cricketers. So we always look to Australia or England or West Indies, and those countries have got their own thing, like they're awesome. But I can promise you that our domestic cricketers are definitely compare favorably to any of those places. Our cricketers are awesome, but I think as a cricket country, we don't back our own players enough. We don't back our provincial players enough. And just because you don't know a guy doesn't mean he's not good. I know that our domestic cricket is not well known around the world, but that doesn't mean it's not awesome. If you look at them, Mzansi Super League, there was an incredible competition. I saw some things, like you had every single team, you had 2 guys bowling over 145. Like, geez, wow! Like, where do you get that? There were guys hitting the ball out the ground. There's guys that nobody's ever known or never heard of in their lives. These international stars came in and they're getting belted around the ground by guys they've never even heard of before, So, and I heard a couple of guys actually comment, geez, who the hell is this oak? Where does he come from? I've never seen him before. I've never heard of him. And he's smashing me for 24 and over, but we all know them because they're domestic cricketers here in South Africa, and they've come through the ranks and they're doing their thing. So I think we undervalue our own cricketers, to be completely honest. And I think it's almost like it's wrong of us. And I always say that I can promise you that if you took whatever the top side is in South Africa, Lions, Titans, Cobras, Dolphins, Warriors, whatever, Knights, in a particular year, and you put them into Australian or English competition on a neutral ground, I think it'll be a good game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be any team could win. Where even maybe not putting them in India, but if you play an Indian team in a neutral venue, then definitely we'd compare favorably. And I think that it really is something wrong with our psyche in terms of South Africans, that we underrate our domestic cricket. I don't understand what it is, and I don't understand why we do it. And it really frustrates me. But there's some incredible young cricketers coming through, Chris. Every year we get new guys and they come out of nowhere, and the guys move straight up and they perform at franchise level. So, which is brilliant. And I just think in terms of the national team, when last did you see a player from franchise cricket not perform for the Proteas straight away? I'd like to ask that question.
No, exactly.
Okay, so people say our domestic cricket's weak, but when Keshav Maharaj went and played, nobody knew who Keshav Maharaj was. He went in and he performed straight away. When Temba walked in straight away and performed. You know what I'm saying? Rassie, nobody knew who Rassie was before he played for South Africa. He played one tour SAA, walked in straight in, and he's the quickest or the highest average ever for a batter playing more than 20 one-day internationals and 20 2020s. And Rassie is a product of domestic cricket in South Africa. Don't tell me that is not doing its job. It is doing its job.
100% agreed. Totally agree. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, and you can be patriotic if you want. Yes. You can really be loyal to Northerns. You can search outside, but the guys, like we said.
Yes.
Three up-and-coming talents anywhere around the country. Who are they, or who should we be watching out for?
Yeah, Chris, there's so many. Geez, wow. I'm not going to say three. I'd probably look at. I want to give you two names who I think are unbelievable. And I'm going to be patriotic in the one that actually plays for my team, Evan Jones. Honestly, I haven't seen a raw talent like that in a long time. The guy is, he can hit the ball out of the ground. What was incredible for me, he got, I think it was against Inland this year in a provincial competition. He got 80 or 40 in the first innings. And to draw the game in the second innings, he got 50 of 160. Like 55 not out, 160. Like that just shows you something. And the guy can bowl like 135 heavy ball. He's only started bowling in the season. Like he's never bowled seam up. He used to bowl spin and keep. Like I don't see. Have you seen the guy field? He's a beast as well. He's like he's 6'3". He moves like like I think he's one of the most talented cricketers I've ever seen. So he might hear about this. He might even be on here. But Jonesy's a serious talent. So yes, boys, he is contracted. So the rest of you can just wait. So that's the first guy that I think is unbelievably talented in terms of from a Northern's point of view. And then I'd like to say in terms of guys that I have sort of worked with, maybe a guy that people don't know that well, Michael Pretorius. I still think he's going to play for South Africa. I think he's just got everything. He's quick, he swings it, he bowls at fuller length, he hits the stumps, he's got BMT, bowls well. Every time he's got an opportunity at franchise cricket, he's bowled well. And I think the Knights, that is a really good guy from them to get Miggs on their books as well. And I think if with a couple more opportunities, he's going to be massive. I don't know, you get, this could be, making a call here. But he could be massive. I reckon he could be, and the way he can hit a cricket ball as well, he could be playing for South Africa in 3 years' time. So those are sort of guys that are sort of boiling below the surface that I think that could be great. There's a lot of good cricketers around, but most of the guys that you'd sort of know already.
Yeah, I'm gonna make us or say something here, Charlie. So just before Rusty made it, guys in Canada picked him up in a T20 competition, and then South Africa sort of went wild. Michael Pretorius was picked up last year in the T10 Abu Dhabi T10, and he was named rookie of the year, or Newcomer of the year. I can't quite remember what it was, but as you say, wait and see. And we know Jonesy, so. Let's see how these boys go. But I'll back you on that, 100%. So the world has been hit by this pandemic, and I've asked literally everyone very similar questions around it. How would you think, as a coach, cricketers around the world would use COVID to grow as a player? I mean, I'm going to just add to that. Throughout history, there's never been such a long break for not just a cricket team, but for all cricket teams simultaneously. How are players, without the influence of coaches, other than what we're currently doing now and sort of online Zoom meetings, how are they going to grow and come out at the end of this thing even better? Quite a tough question. I think it's massive. Hopefully someone gets something off this.
Yeah, so, you have to look at, for me, you have to look at I always look at a sort of false positive, like making a positive out of a negative. So I think that the cricketer that now uses this time to actually improve themselves as people improve their games, start working from a mental point of view, even hit some balls in their yard, whatever it might be, that player is going to be so far ahead of the player that's done nothing. And it's so easy to do nothing right now. Nobody really knows what you're doing. Northern's boys, let's hope you're watching. No, they're pretty well disciplined on Northern's boys, thank goodness. But I think that the player that works hard at their game now is going to get such a boost when they actually start playing again. They're going to be miles ahead of everybody else. So if you're looking for an opportunity, an opportunity is sometimes something when other people aren't doing anything because of a setback, you say, I'm going to take something positive out of this. I'm going to work, you know, and I'm going to get my stuff done, you know, and I'm going to take this opportunity to be better, to be the fittest, the strongest you possibly can be, to look at various people's games and how can they mold themselves on that particular player, you know, research in terms of dieting, researching, lose that 5 kgs you need to, those tiny little 1%. And, you know, John O'Vandia always said that my son's probably going to grow up, or my son's probably going to grow up boring bastards like me picking up the 1%. But I'm a big believer of the 1%. And, you know, like those small little things are going to mean a massive thing over a longer period. And I think that just a thing that I thought about the other day, and, you know, like what is not, yes, we're not playing cricket at the moment, but I think if, you know, like I think that professional cricketers sometimes get stale over a period. But if you can use this time, and especially the month that you had off, sort of early lockdown, if you could use that to sort of get it completely away from the game, you're never going to have that opportunity again. There isn't on the TV. There's nothing happening. There's no cricket. You can't do anything. If you could get away for a month and then just have a complete break and get that complete hunger back, and spend time, you know, with families, and, you know, grow yourself as a person, and then, as I said, step back in and be 100% motivated again. You know, again, it's an opportunity. When bad things happen, they say when God closes the door, He opens the window. You know, and I think the window is there for people that want to be good now. So let's hope a lot of cricketers have done that.
Yeah, closing the gaps on the guys ahead of them, and furthering it from the guys behind them. But anyway, let's hope so, Charlie. Let's really hope so. All right, that brings us to the end of the serious stuff. Let's just get into some quick questions I saw come up through obviously social media here. Your favorite shot in the game, the one you love watching the most?
People that saw me play would probably say the forward defensive. Specifically, if Rolfie was on this call. So you'd probably say the lead or the forward defensive. The shot that I enjoy, yeah, probably an on drive, Chris. You know, there's nothing better than seeing, you know, in 3-day cricket or 4-day cricket, a seamer does basically everything right. He pitches it up, hitting the stumps, and he just gets pounded straight back past him. You know, like I don't think there's many with that, and it hits the sideboards in a stadium. You know, and when we play, obviously the stadiums are empty, so you can hear it ricochet around the stadiums. But I don't think there's a better shot in cricket. You know, it's quite a purist sort of shot. I see myself as a bit of a cricket purist, so yeah, definitely the on drive.
Yeah, definitely. I see some guys saying tequila there and other things. I think they got the wrong shots here, but
yeah, no, totally definitely.
Charlie,
definitely no tequila. I'll leave that to my wife.
Yeah.
And
no, we'll leave
definitely not tequila for you either.
100% agreed. Looking at the Titans' current coaching setup, where do you find yourselves in the months, years to come? I know it's a tough one. We don't know where we're going to be in a few months, but yeah, right now as it stands.
Obviously, I'm back with Northerns again, which is fantastic, and after my 2-3 years with high performance, so I'm back with the guys. There are a couple of guys that are still around, which is fantastic, and it's been great to catch up with them again. And then, you know, there's a whole new generation of players that are sort of you're coming through. So again, I think we got quite experienced players, and then we got a lot of young talent, which is fantastic. You know, so I've got a squad of 20 at the moment, and you know how Northern's cricket sort of, and how I've always looked to do things is that we try and pick players that can play franchise cricket. You know, like that are good enough to play at that next level. So all the guys that we've picked up, you know, in that squad, I think are good enough to play at the next level. So, you know, hopefully in the future years, you know, like if I keep on doing my stuff and, keep on winning games and keep on influencing careers. Hopefully, move into the Titans. The Titans team, either, starting off assistant coach, and hopefully in the future, maybe at my best when I'm between 45 and 50, maybe head coach. That would be amazing. Like Titans have been great for me. They, as I said, Eddie Causa backed me when nobody even knew who I was. Hopefully I've paid them back a little bit in terms of that. And I'm just looking forward to carrying on doing that and carrying on doing my stuff.
Definitely. I think so. We've got 5 years on that plan of yours, Charlie, so we'll work towards it.
Yeah.
A quick...
Yeah, I'm not that old, Chris. I'm only 38. I know I look a lot older. I like... Listen, sorry, just by the way, I like Theo's question that's just come up on the what's it?
Yes, I was going to ask you
that really?
now, 100%.
Read your mind. If you've got one.
Go for it. Answer that one for me, Charlie.
To be honest, I think it's good for South African cricket. Yeah, so I really do. Having more teams for us, I think we've got enough talent to fill those teams. More opportunities for young players coming through. I see a lot of cricketers that sort of get stuck at semi-pro level for a little bit longer maybe than they should. So I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant to see those young players sort of come through. And I think people always come hard at our structures because we players take such a long time to come through. But when you've only got 6 professional teams and you've got players doing well at the top, it is tough. So a guy like Aiden Markram had to do his time. He won the World Cup, and some Indian paper abused me, or magazine abused me online for not pushing through Aiden Markram quicker. And I'm like, well, it's tough, when you've got guys like Tennis de Bruin and Dean Elgar above you, those are your top order batters. How do you? And luckily they got picked obviously for the Proteas, so then Aiden got his spot. But
Yeah.
I think we got more than enough young talent, and I think we can definitely fill those teams, and I think we can be really competitive in terms of that. And the opportunities, I think, for young players is going to be massive. I reckon we definitely have enough talent for two more teams at least, if not more, to be completely honest. And if we went back to provincial cricket, it would be younger, but I think that you probably would see players a little bit younger, and maybe they'd move actually quicker into the national team. Because if you look at India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, the players get picked at 18. We don't see our 18-year-old players; they're always stuck at provincial level. So you might find some guy coming through even quicker. So I definitely think we've got enough quality, and I think that I think at least 2 more teams would definitely be good for South African cricket.
So totally agree, and I think they would be playing for much longer at that level. So imagine how good they'll be at age 30, 40.
Yeah.
Or if they're playing at 40, like county cricket, So
Definitely.
Yeah, it'll be incredible.
Yeah.
Charlie, I saw a question come through there, and I know we're running low on time here, but can a player from outside of province, just for information, outside of a province play for Northerns? I'm just going to help her there quickly. Yes, they can. Obviously, they need to play within the Northerns club setup or move here, and then they can make that happen. If I'm not correct there, Charlie?
Correct.
All right, good. So I'm going to jump onto some speed questions for you, so don't think too long and hard about this, but you can answer it in a few words if you can. From your perspective or your opinion, your favorite book from a coaching point of view?
Steve Waugh's autobiography. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you reference that quite a bit. What have you done throughout lockdown to upskill yourself as a coach?
Obviously, I'm doing the Coach Ed, which is Gary Kirsten's online course, which is doing the elite course, which has been absolutely brilliant. We had our last 3 guests have been Graham Smith, Justin Langer, and Faf du Plessis, and David Miller. Honestly, what else do you want, to be completely honest? So that's been incredible. Yeah, it's been really good. And then I've been doing a lot of work sort of online, looking at different things, and then watching a lot of TV programs and documentaries on sports. Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. Most memorable quote any player's ever said in your change room? Something that's like sort of stuck with you.
Yeah. So I actually used it the other day, and like one of my favorite cricketers is Harmison Matoa, and again, he might even be on here. Um, at the moment, he's a champion, just one of my favorite people as well, to be completely honest. So Harmy actually put on something afterwards, and like we've had a great relationship, and we worked really well together over the years, and he's an absolute champion and a really good cricketer. And he said that the coach's job was to comfort the troubled and to trouble the comfortable. And I think that was such a brilliant quote, because it's so true. And he actually put it on, I don't know if it's Facebook or Instagram afterwards, and he like referenced me and that. So I think that's one of the best quotes I've ever heard about. That's the role of a coach, and I still agree with it. And he's Harmy comes up with stuff like that. He's a champion.
Yeah, he's a beaut. I've already asked you, or you spoke about your short-term goals, so I'm not going to ask you that again. Next one, I know you said it, and you focused right now on your cricket. What are you keen to do after cricket, Charlie? When you turn 45 and that shoulder's really cranking on, what's going to happen, Charlie?
Well, hopefully a little bit longer than 45, Chris. But yeah, like again, I don't see myself doing anything more than cricket. If you're going to ask me when my professional sort of coaching is finished, I would probably, I've got two boys. They're very young at the moment, so but I've got two boys, so to be honest, it would probably be giving something back in cricket. So going to school cricket, maybe at like a boarding school or something like that. I've always said that I'd love to go back to the Eastern Cape, and give something back there. I'm a proud Eastern Cape person, and the cricket culture down there is incredible. So if it had happened down there, it would. But if it didn't, then looking at probably one of the big boarding schools around and looking to educate my two boys, it would be probably the way to go for me. But I see myself probably having 10 more years in the professional game at least, if not more. It depends how it goes. Maybe look to an overseas opportunity just to grow as a player, but I see my future in South African cricket, to be honest. So maybe a bit of a quick stint overseas or learning something, but I see my long-term future back here in South Africa, definitely.
100%. Okay. Your hobbies outside of cricket?
Yeah, Chris. Got quite a lot. Yeah, so I play really bad golf, as you know. Yeah, our standing three ball is myself, Chris, and Rassie. Rassie looks for his balls in the bush the whole time. It takes an hour every time. Chris's swing is either on or off. When it's on, it's really on. I just sort of potter along, and basically always say that I'm practicing because I never get to play enough. But yeah, golf definitely. I really enjoy anything active. So I like running. I like like I play touch rugby league. I love any sports. As I said, I'm actually becoming quite looking to American sports has become quite a thing for me. I really enjoy looking at documentaries on American sports, which I really enjoy. I fish. Rock and surf, not papgooi like you do. So rock and surf fishing, I love fishing when I go down to the Eastern Cape when I get that opportunity. So yeah, a lot of things, eh? And then I love a good whiskey.
We got 1 minute here.
Love a good whiskey, and I love a good braai as well.
Okay, cool. My last one for you, because we've got literally 50 seconds
left.
The best player you have known or ever known to have given up cricket too early?
Sure. Chris.
Tough one.
Yo, I don't know. I have no clue. What do you think?
I was asked that question the other night. I said David Bunn. I think he let it go too early.
Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, David Bunn would definitely be one. Jeez, like he could have had a serious franchise career. The kid could play. He was definitely
Charlie, I'm going to lose.
No worries.
Definitely. I'm going to lose you. But thanks, Charlie. Thanks for the evening. I appreciate your time. Sorry for the guys I couldn't get your questions out there, but we will in the next session. Thanks so much, guys.
Cheers, guys. Thanks,
Charlie,
Chris.
thank you, bud.
Appreciate
Cheers.
it. Have a good one.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cliffy, how's it?
Hello, buddy.
How you doing?
Oh, you.
Good, thank you. Loving the long hair there, bud.
But yeah, it's been tough getting to a headdress.
Shame, man. Shame. But you well otherwise?
Yeah, very good. Very good.
That's good. That's good. Thanks for joining us. I don't know if you've been following our little journey that we've done.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of you guys. I've watched a couple.
Good.
But
So
yeah, I haven't been able to watch. I haven't been able to watch all of them.
No, it's all good. I mean, it's a bit of awareness around you guys and just something, talking about the game, which I think a lot of people don't. Well, no one does enough of, to be honest.
No, it's kind of a thing that's, you learn from the previous generation where guys would sit around in a change room and you would talk for days and it's like slowly dying away, and I think that's where you learn a lot of the game.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. I mean, I was down at a club game before lockdown, one of the last ones, and it was right at the back end of the game. It was actually an exciting game, and after the game, they packed their bags and they were gone. No beers, no nothing. And it was
Ninja dust and off you go.
I think it's actually scary, that you're right. That part of the game's definitely dying, and it's going to be a massive loss. How was your course today, or your conference,
yeah, just
or whatever you had?
finished about half an hour ago. So trying to do as much studying and catching up on some academics as much as possible.
Yes.
You don't often get the time to do that while you're on tour. So it's you try and do as much as you can when you can.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Plus,
100%.
I kind of fell behind on some of the points, so I needed to do some catch up.
Well, that's allowed. That's guys have to use this time wisely.
That's true. That's true.
That's it. So I'm going to kick off the evening with a nice, easy one for you. Nothing too serious. I mean,
all right.
For the guys that don't know you, you're quite a big man. You've played cricket for many, many years. You've played for, I don't even know, but longer than most guys have ever dreamt of playing professional sport. Is how long you've been in the game. So what got you into the game, and why cricket? Like I say, you're quite a big guy. You could have played rugby. You could have played basketball. Yeah. Why cricket?
Chris, I think I was fortunate enough to grow up in a pretty small town, and growing up in a small town, you have to basically participate in all the sport. Otherwise, like for argument's sake, I remember when I think it was grade 6 or grade 7. The primary school guys, we had a full in the secondary school. So like the first teams, if the primary school guys didn't play in the first team of the high school, we weren't able to play. So so we used to do cricket, athletics. We used to play tennis. We used to play rugby. And it's very fortunate because like mainstream and big schools nowadays, you pretty much get the opportunity to do maybe 2 sports. You get a summer sport, and you get a winter sport.
That's it.
But throughout all of the time, playing all of these sports, being exposed to all of them, I think cricket stuck with me most.
Yes. Okay.
It was definitely something that I loved the most, and I felt I was okay at it, better than maybe, say for argument's sake, rugby. I was crap at rugby,
Yeah.
And then, you know, athletics, yeah, it was nice, but it wasn't something that I loved as much as I loved cricket. Close second was tennis. Yeah, so, but yeah, cricket stuck with me.
Fantastic. And that's probably how you met your wife. You say close second tennis. I presume. Obviously, been a professional sportsman, but seen her on TV. I don't know how you guys met and that, but I mean, that's probably how you got involved. I'm almost sure.
Yeah,
So,
it was actually it was an interview.
well, there we go. Bit of everything, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, after your playing career, you got involved in the professional physio side. You were involved with many different sports as well. And then you moved on to the Protea ladies side, and you were with the National Academy and SIA. I think you had a hand in here and there, Warriors, and then moving on to Pakistan. So I want to talk something which I actually had a nice conference with the Northerns coaches yesterday about goals. What is your biggest dream within the physio industry?
Chris, I think at the moment, I think I'm living my dream.
Okay, fantastic.
I really am fortunate to be able to have gone into an international setup. It's definitely something that I feel fortunate about, blessed about. As a goal within an international setup is obviously to try and get better at what I do. You know, continuous improvement. Your main aim as a medical team is to have as many players available for your coaching staff to pick from as often as possible. So that will always stay the ultimate goal when it comes to physio, working with a doctor, working with the S&C, or whether it's whichever part of the medical team it is. I think that must stay your main aim, because that's why we're all there. That's part of the. It's just one cog in the wheel, and it's part of the company. It's you know, you're working together with people, and if that doesn't stay your ultimate goal, if the main aim is not that, then I think you've got your priorities a little bit wrong. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. But I mean, living your dream, that's fantastic. I mean, not many guys can say that, you know. So doing it at your age, we're going to touch on it a little bit more later, but I think it's incredible inspiration to be doing what you love.
Yeah,
but again, there's probably a lot of hardships that come with that, but we'll touch on that as well in the next 15, 20 minutes. In comparison, working here in South Africa and then working with the Pakistan guys, massive differences. Obviously, culture we know, but I mean, what other difficulties are you running into on a day-to-day basis?
I wouldn't call any of it difficulties, that I can guarantee you. I would call it adaptations. I would call it probably a challenge here and there. You walk into it open-eyed because you know there's religious differences, you know there's cultural differences, there are time differences. But most probably, the biggest thing that I probably have learned through this all is to be able to adapt a little bit more. You know, we grow up a little bit rigid sometimes. And to be able to adapt and to open your eyes to accommodate different points of view to get to the same thing. Because again, I say that because, you know, the main aim should stay the main aim, which is to allow players to be on the field as often as possible for as long as possible. And if that's by, for argument's sake, doing a hands-on treatment when you know it's not always necessary, you treat the brain and the emotions as much as you treat an hamstring. So I think I don't think there's any hardships when it comes to actual working with players or with going from South Africa into Pakistan at all. It's in fact it's taught me a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, yes, the stories that you must have and expertise that you can probably teach other physios that would feed off you. I think it would be massive. But on the relationship side and your personal side, family, the rest of things, I know you mentioned to me this morning when we had a quick chat that you, at a stage last year, you hadn't seen your wife for like 6 or 7 months, you know. I mean, how difficult is that? So, I mean, like, some guys wish they can live this dream, either being on a professional side as a coach and this and that, but they don't realize that they're going to miss 6-7 months of the year with their families, you know.
Again, I think we had a little bit of a initiation when it comes to that, because when I was working with the Warriors, I was down in Port Elizabeth, and she was still living in Johannesburg. So you try and commute a little bit up and down. And when this thing came along, you know, it does take an open, honest conversation, saying, listen, there might be times where this is going to happen. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
But you have to make sure that you try and keep planning the whole time. And again, I got to give credit to our to the PCB where it comes to families. The one thing about the culture in Pakistan is it's incredibly family orientated.
Fantastic.
Man, I can tell you stories about how these guys care about family and about each other as a family. It's unreal. And you know, they are so accommodating when it comes to being able to have your wife with you on tours. So, you know, you do a little bit of planning, a little bit of logistics, and if you know, it all comes together, then you do get some time to spend with your family on tour.
Yeah, sure. That's fantastic. At least you have that support, you know, from the rest of the guys. I think it does help.
It's an amazing. Well, you can't call it opportunity, but it's something really good about PCB.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, and I'm so glad to hear that. With the PCB, you've had a few great highs. I mean, I remember the England series last year or 2 years ago. This time flies, but I remember that quite clearly. You want to take us through your most or your fondest memory, or your highest memory that you have of that journey, and what got you guys there, especially that part of your journey, whatever it might have been.
Right. So I think I keep on saying I'm lucky, but it really is. My first test match was at Lord's as an international physio, and we won. We won the test match against England at Lord's. So I mean, from a purist perspective, if you want to look at where you want to win, you know, obviously the World Cup would have been amazing, but it wasn't to be. We ended up 5th, missed out on the semi-finals, but winning a test match at Lord's most probably a very big highlight. But then I have to from a different point of view, tell you that when cricket came back into Pakistan, 10 years, or international cricket, 10 years after that unfortunate incident, it was against Sri Lanka again. And Chris, I must tell you, the vibe you could pick up in Pakistan for the like a month leading into that was unbelievable. You know, I think we were in Australia at that point in time. We came back to Lahore about, let's say, 10 days before the Sri Lanka test matches. And man, was that something to witness. You know, you would walk into a stadium and it was just, you could not hear yourself think. Like, honestly, I've never experienced anything like that before in my life.